This is Ticker News, news with context.
With Ticker News, I'm Aaron Young. There are no survivors in a plane collision with a helicopter in Washington, D.C., now the deadliest plane crash in the United States in more than 20 years. The passenger plane, a Bombardier CRJ-700 jet, operated by regional airline PSA for American Airlines, had 64 passengers and crew on board. Flight AA5342 was coming into land at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport around 9 p.m. local time when the tragedy struck. Rescue teams have recovered dozens of bodies so far from the Potomac River, but authorities have now shifted their focus to recovery efforts. An investigation underway to determine how the avoidable crash occurred in one of the country's busiest airspaces. This is audio from air traffic control in the moments after the collision.
Did you see that? 472.
Fire command. The accident happened in the river. Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river. It's east of the approach end of runway 33.
Is the airfield closed?
Yes, the airfield is closed. The airfield is closed.
Runways as well?
Yes, all runways are closed. Nobody's landing. No one's moving at all. It was probably out in the middle of the river. I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone.
Now, at a press conference, Donald Trump says some really bad things happened that shouldn't have happened. He laid the blame on the helicopter's crew. Investigators have not yet concluded what caused the disaster. President Trump spoke from the White House briefing room.
In an hour of anguish for our nation, just before 9 p.m. last night, an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter carrying 3 military service members over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., while on final approach to Reagan National Airport. Both aircraft crashed instantly and were immediately submerged into the icy waters of the Potomac. Real tragedy. The massive search and rescue mission was underway throughout the night, leveraging every asset at our disposal, and I have to say the local, state, federal, military, including the United States Coast Guard in particular, they've done a phenomenal job. So quick, so fast, it was mobilized immediately. The work has now shifted to a recovery mission. Sadly, there are no survivors. This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history, and a tragedy of terrible proportions. As one nation, we grieve for every precious soul that has been taken from us so suddenly, and we are a country of we are in mourning. This has really shaken a lot of people, including people, very sadly, from other nations who were on the flight.
Throughout the night, hundreds of first responders scoured the Potomac River in freezing conditions, searching for any sign of survivors. Here is the DC Fire Chief announcing the news.
We are now at a point where we are switching from a rescue operation to a recovery operation. At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident. And we have recovered 27 people from the plane and 1 from the helicopter. The District Office of the Medical Examiner has lead on reuniting these bodies and these people with their loved ones, and we will continue to work to find all the bodies and collect them and reunite them with their loved ones. We should also acknowledge that the Virginia Medical Examiner and the Army Medical Examiner are involved in this operation and a very important part of getting the people identified.
Now, President Trump has come under fire for linking the collision to diversity policies of the previous Biden administration. He lashed out at a CNN reporter who asked whether it was too soon to be making such statements. The first victims have been identified as figure skaters from the US and Russia who were at a training camp in Kansas. Newly installed US Defense Secretary has now said as mistakes were made that led to the DC crash and the deaths of almost 70 people. Investigations are now underway to determine how the crash happened. You are watching Ticker. I'm Aaron Young.